My foot went straight up in the air and I left Diamond upside down. Well, hello, my watch family. Crazy Cowboy Watchmaker coming at you, bringing the world into my world. Today's story day, I'm going to talk to you about my cowboying days and some of the things that happens when you're dealing with a 1,200-pound horse and a rope and a pig and string. And I mean to tell you, you got all kinds of gear all wrapped around you, and you're trying to chase a calf, you're trying to rope a steer. Things get western sometimes. Today's a story about me at a rodeo, and I'm telling you, not too often are the stands packed. But tonight was an indoor rodeo, and the stands were packed. Moms and dads and kids and grandpas and grandmas. And I mean to tell you, it was the Saturday night event. And so I'm on old Diamond and I'm ready to go. I've already looked at all these calves and I drew a pup. Man, I done seen this sucker. He got roped earlier in the evening, and I was just feeling it, man. I was just feeling it. I knew we were going to wreck this little sucker and get him tied and win the rodeo. That's what I had in my mind. I just knew I was going to win the rodeo with this calf. Diamond was all on point. He was ready to go. So my turn to come rope. I rode in there, boy, and I'm all sitting straight. He's all pumped up, and Diamond's got his ears all tuned to that calf. And I backed in that box, and they pulled that barrier across there. Diamond's got his ears forward. I got my rope tucked under my arm, boy. I got my picking string in my mouth, and I'm fixing to make me a run. I'm fixing to tie this sucker in 8 seconds. I just knew it. And so I nodded my head, and I scored him just a little bit, let him out, bang, broke the barrier just perfect. I knew I was in the money. And I one swing and I two swing. The boy Diamond just rated like a champ. Rated right there, boy, and there's a hole. And I zipped a figure eight on that sucker, and I jerked my slack and I weighed it off. And what I didn't know is when I jerked that slack, that rope got behind my spur. And about that time when Diamond feels me shifting over to the right and I'm fixing to weigh it off, man, he parked it, made an 11 in the dirt, and the calf was going to the end of the rope, and that calf, man, he hit the end of that rope, and that rope stuck behind my daggum spur. My foot went straight up in the air, and I left Diamond upside down. And in the process, Diamond went forward a little, the calf come forward a little, and my foot got tied up in that rope. And I'm hanging upside down, and my foot is tied up in that rope. I don't know where my hat went. I know I left a boot flying somewhere in the middle of that deal. And the stands got quiet. I'm all hung up between old Diamond and his calf, and both Diamond's pulling back and the calf is pulling back. And there I was, wrapped up in that sucker. My legs in the air, my head's in the dirt, and the stands went quiet. And this little girl stood up in the silence, and she says, "Look, Mommy, that calf and that horsey has roped that cowboy." And at that point, I had to have help. And the whole crowd laughed, and the cowboys come running, and they got the rope off the calf's head, and they come unwrapped it from my foot. And I stood up, and Diamond, boy, he's all blowed up. He don't know what's going on. He's like, that ain't the way that's supposed to go. I was thinking the same daggum thing. That is not how I had that run envisioned. In any case, I'm in the middle of the arena, and I'm missing a boot. Don't know where my hat is. And I'm looking at the crowd, and all the crowd is just silent, like they were embarrassed for me. And I didn't know what to do. So I just gracefully bowed to the crowd. And everybody stood up, and I got a standing ovation. Everybody was clapping, and it humbled me. And at that particular point, there's nothing you can do but just accept reality. Things did not go as planned. So about that time, a little boy up about the middle of the stands stood up and says, "Hey, mister." And he held up my boot. He says, "I've got your boot." And I looked up and I was like, holy smokes, that boot took a flight. It went a long way, about to the middle of the stand. So I walked up to the gate there, and he come down and gave me my boot. I put my boot on, the cowboy. He gave me my hat. I coiled up my rope, got back on my horse, and I rode straight back out of that arena, sitting up straight, holding my head up. Things don't always go as planned, but you have to accept them as they is and know that at least I entertained the crowd. Much more than if I'd have made a perfect run and I'd have tied that sucker with no bobbles. The crowd got way more than they would have gotten if I'd have made a really good run. So, moral of the story goes, when you've got it in your mind and your expectations are high, that might just be when you get humbled. And boy, howdy, I'm going to tell you right now, I was humbled. But you know what? The crowd will never forget that. And if I'd have made a good run and I'd have tied that calf like a lightning bolt, they would have never forgot that. So maybe that's a story that they can tell to their kids, or this cow, this little calf, and this Horsie roped a cowboy. Love you guys.